right. You are here today to go through this workshop with me on life with cancer, going from survivor to thriver in this 5-step process that I've created. So thank you, first of all, for being here. Thank you for the patience with the tech stuff. We are in and we are going. So I wanted to share with you, in my experience of going to workshops, that this is a little bit different and unique in that we're going to talk about you, the real person, and your real needs. And this is going to show you that you do have some choices in your life with cancer. And that I want to show you the proven method that I've used. And I say proven because it's the one that I literally have used over the last 9 years to get out of survivor mode and into thriver mode. So you're going to see that there is a way to create a life with cancer that will allow you to show up differently in your own life, reclaim your health, and move from just surviving to thriving. So what we're going to do is we are going to talk about some of your challenges and opportunities, how I became a thriver, the 5 steps that you need to know, the healthful thriver model, and then if you would like to stay with me until the end, I am going to do a Q&A and just talk to you a little bit about what I do and how you can become a thriver, and take any questions that you might have after the fact. So if this feels good for you, you can just drop a yes in the chat and we can just get started. So because you are here today and because I am all about service and sharing, I'm going to send you the full copy of this Thrive Her Success Path that we are talking about today. I want you to be able to have access to it. I don't want it to be a mystery so that you can work on it and through it in your own time. So I want to start by talking about what some of your biggest challenges are. And you may have other challenges outside of this, or maybe these aren't yours, but these seem to be the ones that keep coming up when I talk with women who have cancer. And they're talking about this ongoing stress and overwhelm from being told that they have cancer and the statistics that go with the diagnosis. They talk about feeling stuck and like they don't know what to do other than follow the medical plan. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the medical plan. I'm just saying that there are other things that are available that in a more holistic way, but not everybody knows about them. And when you get that diagnosis, you can get heads down and not really want to look around or know what to look around for. And also this concept of not knowing who you even are anymore. Like, who am I? What has just happened in my life? And then I just wonder if you would share with me, because I'm always curious, like, what are you feeling right now? Are you feeling stressed and overwhelmed? Are you feeling stuck? Are you feeling alone and confused? Or maybe you're feeling great. Maybe you're just here to gather some information and you're just excited to learn. All right. So this is your opportunity. And I love this picture of the butterflies because this is a 5-step process. So it's like going from that initial stage to that flourishing stage. It's your opportunity to discover how to get out of stress and overwhelm. It's your opportunity to know that you can get unstuck by taking clear and realistic action that will help you move from survivor to thriver. And it is about being able to believe and feel confident and empowered to create this new thriver version of yourself. So if you're ready, I would love to hear a me in the chat if you are interested in learning more about being a thriver, because it's a pretty fun place to be. Alrighty, I am going to look at the me's. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So I just want to tell you for a moment how I became a cancer thriver. It was in 2018, and I was 3 years past my original cancer diagnosis, and I had just come home from the hospital from having my 3rd cancer-related surgery. And I was doing what I was saying to you, like just kind of wandering around the house, like not knowing who I was, not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. When I grew up, I had quit my job. I was feeling like alone and unsure of what my next steps were. And like there was this gray filter over my life, the kind you put happy filters over pictures to make them sparkly, but mine felt like it had like this gray layer over it. And I didn't like that because I was grateful for everything that I was experiencing, grateful for my husband and my kids, grateful to be out of surgery and back on the health track. But I just felt like I was stuck. And my niece came over one day for tea and she's like, "So Aunt Catherine, how you doing?" I was like, I feel like something is missing. I feel like my soul is empty and I don't know how to heal my soul. I don't know how to fix that. And she's like, "Oh, I have a great idea. You should take yoga teacher training." I was like, "No, I like doing yoga, but I don't want to be a yoga teacher." And she said, "No, really, like I just finished the course and there's so many things in it that aren't just yoga practices. There's so many other aspects to it. And I think that you will really find that this is a good place for you to be so that you can find what you're looking for." So I was like, "Sure, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I will sign up for yoga teacher training." And I have to share with you that it was the best and most timely decision that I ever made. Because as we were moving into the program, 3 months in, they discovered that I had a metastases in my right lung and I was going to have another surgery, which was very difficult. But this time I knew it was different. This time I was already learning these modalities of breathing and of gratitude and of mindfulness practices, and how yoga wasn't just about power yoga. It could be a restorative and healing practice. And I had a community that carried me through until the weekend before we graduated. And the weekend before we graduated is when I actually went in and had my surgery on my lung, and everything went well. And I remember being in the room and the respiratory therapist coming in and saying, we have to do all the checking of all the things. And she took me over to a chair and sat me down. I could hear her warming up the stethoscope behind me. And she put it on my back and she said, "Take a deep breath in." And I just went, she said, "Breathe out." And she leaned in and she said, "You do yoga, don't you?" I was like, "Yes, I do. And actually, next weekend I'm graduating from my program, so I need you to sign the papers and let me out of the hospital because I need to go home and get ready." So I went and graduated, and it was in that moment between that respiratory therapist and the graduation that I realized that there was more to living with cancer than just living day to day, more than just living in survivor mode, and that there were tools available to me that had made this whole process easier. And so I started to get more curious about other modalities and started to integrate nutrition and integrate yoga and mindfulness practices into my own life, and then started working with other women and helping them to integrate them into their lives. And what I realized through all of that is that this path to becoming a thriver was not external. It wasn't about all of the stuff. It was actually an internal path that allowed me to step out of survivor mode and into thriver mode. And that's what I want for you today, is to be able to have that same opportunity. And that's why I want to share with you what I have learned along the way. So as I said, that big revelation was that it was an internal journey. And once I realized that I had access to tools and strategies that supported me holistically, I could get into that thriver mode and not live in just that fight or flight survivor mode anymore. So in your workbook, there is this page. And if you don't want to do this along with us, we're just going to do a quick little activity here. You don't have to do it. You can go back and watch the replay and try it again. Or if you want to do it with us, that's perfectly fine. It is completely up to you. But I want to walk you through this because this is where most people tend to get stuck, is that they don't know how to identify where they are right now. Like, you're having the feelings, you're having the emotions, there's all of these things going on, but they don't necessarily know what they are and don't know how to stop that feeling of stress and overwhelm. And they don't know how to identify where they want to be, what they want for themselves. And I know that the answer to that is, I want to be healthy again, but there are other pieces too. There's other things that you can have along the way, but you may not know what they are because you're just so busy being in that moment of trying to figure all of this out. And it's about, wanting to create a life, but being stuck in that I don't know how to create a life with cancer that isn't about living day to day. So that's what we're going to do right now, is we're going to go through this worksheet and we're going to talk about this bridge. So you can create the life that you want. And I know that might feel a little bit strange in your mind, like, because there's so many other things going on, But what I have learned is even one little thing can make such a difference in your day. And that's what I want to share with you, is that opportunity to bring in those little things that can make a difference. But it has to start with knowing where you are. So on one end of this bridge is where you are, and on the other end of this bridge is where you want to be. And in the middle, and I love this picture, this is actually a bridge, I think it's in Vietnam. This sparkly, beautiful bridge with all of these people on it, all looking for the same thing, looking for more. And then the beautiful hands that are holding it up that are symbolic of the support that is available to you. So just take a minute here and don't even think about it. Like, just allow the first three words that come into your mind about where you are and write them down on that page in your book. I'll just give you a few moments here just to try not to overthink it. Just allow them to come very naturally into your mind. So where are you now? Maybe you're stuck. Maybe you're joyful. Maybe you are in treatment. Maybe you are post-treatment, whatever that is. Let's give you another second. All right. And then shifting gears to, where do you want to be? And again, don't overthink it. Just what are the first three things that come into your mind that you want for yourself? Maybe you want to be able to travel again. Maybe you want to go back to work. Maybe you want to quit your job. Maybe you want to be able to go for longer walks. Like, maybe you want to eat healthier. It's whatever it is that feels right for you. That's what we are looking for. Long-term treatment. Mm-hmm. And then from there, coming back to the page at the bottom, like, what are you doing to get there? Just what are three things that you're doing right now? What are three things that you are doing right now that are helping you to start building that bridge? Because that bridge is what's going to help you to move forward in your life. And energy. Yes, Krista's saying she wants to be no evidence of disease, have more energy, less inflammation. I think that's what you're saying, Krista. Yeah, so good. So good. All right. And you can come back to this activity if you feel like you want to add more to it. It's just a really great way to reflect on who you are and where you want to be, and what possibility is there for you. Learning tools and strategies to create your life is the single most powerful way for you to get unstuck and create that life that you want to be living without overwhelm and feeling frozen. And it's that question of, like, what do I do? What do I even do? And then how do I even do this? Where do I even start? What if some other people cutting out gluten, cutting out sugar, training for a triathlon? Sweet. Nice. I actually ran my last marathon 2 years after my diagnosis, and then I gave up marathoning. So many good practices there, Krista. Amazing. I like this acronym of life, living in freedom every day. And you can create that freedom for yourself. So when you care for your whole self, your body and your mind and your spirit, that's that holistic aspect of healing, you can move beyond just surviving. You can start creating that life with cancer that's about creating a thriving life. So if you are ready to commit to that, you can type that in the chat, say, yes, I'm ready, or I'm in, or whatever it is. And this is about you showing yourself that you can take that first step. The things in the chat, that's not for me, it's for you, so that you can, like, take it out of your brain and put it through your hands into a real form, an energetic form of, yes, I am in and I'm ready to do this. So let's talk about this Thrive for Success path, because that's what I said we were going to do today. This Thrive for Success path, I'm just going to stop sharing for a second. This Thrive for Success path is a series of movements through the process. And what I recognize, I want to be really upfront about it, I recognize that everybody's in a different place. Everybody is in a different place, and everybody's cancer experience is different. And I know we have some friends that were coming today that have chronic illness, not cancer, but in essence, they're very similar, right? There are similar pieces to cancer and chronic illness. And so what I'm talking about today can be applied to either of them. So this path is about getting started. This path is about being curious and wanting to make a move. And you've already started that just by signing up for the workshop. If you're watching the replay because you couldn't make it today, just by signing up and hitting go, hitting start on the replay, you are here. By being here in the workshop today, you are showing up for yourself. And that is a very, very important first step. So let's get into this path. So there are the 5 steps, and I'm going to walk you through each of them and talk a little bit about them. But before we do that, I want to talk about the idea of desire. So your desire to change must be greater than your desire to stay the same. And I'm not talking about like exponential change. It can be, but even little changes. It has to be this desire inside of you to get out of stuck and where you are. And so there's this concept around want versus desire. And want, if you're into energy work or if you believe in energy, like want is a place of inaction. It's like, oh, that person is doing that. I wish I could do that. I want that. Or that person's reading that book, or there's that thing over there, or oh, I want to start eating healthy, but never really taking that step. It's that inaction that keeps you stuck where you are. But when you shift that thought to desire, I desire to change my eating habits. I desire to start that practice, whatever it is, you move yourself you out of inaction and into action. And you are already in action because you're here. So this is amazing because what you're going to do is start gathering these little pieces of the puzzle and putting them all together to create this version of you in action, desiring to be in a different place. And what this is called is a growth mindset. So you're going to create this new mindset with small actions and with small beliefs that will create new results. And I have to share with you, your mindset matters. If I could go back and restart, I would still do what I did at the beginning, but I would add this mindset piece, this self-love and self-belief and affirmations and believing in myself much more deeply, and also having strategies to help me get out of that stress mode and into, okay, this is hard, but I can do this. That's a growth mindset of taking new ideas that will give you new results. And this is, I do a lot of coaching with my clients around mindset work to help them navigate where they are in their process. So step 1, here we are. We are in the plan. Step 1 of the Thrive Her Success path is you being at the beginning of learning how to live with life with cancer. And this is in your workbook. I give you a little some fill in the blanks if you are the kind of person that likes to be active while you're doing things. And this is about you maybe being curious about how to support yourself, but you don't know where to start. Maybe you just don't know where to start because it's overwhelming and there's so much information and misinformation out there. And this is where you think there must be a way to start reclaiming your life and transforming your health, but the overwhelm is holding you back because there's just so much to think about, appointments and treatments and blood work and surgeries. And can you visit with people because you want to stay healthy and you don't want to get sick, and maybe you don't feel like socializing with people, but you know that socializing is good for you, and all of these pieces that people not in our world don't understand and that can be really overwhelming. So this stage is stuck and overwhelmed. But like I said, you're already moving into and getting ready to move beyond this step because you're here, because you've taken this action. So moving out of stuck and overwhelmed, you're going to know, and this is on the handout, this is on the book that I'm going to send you, these 5 steps. You are going to know that you are out of stuck and overwhelmed when you have the desire and drive to get started, which you already have because you're here. When you have at least one area of your life that you want to work on. So maybe you just find one thing. I'm going to drink more water. That is like the simplest thing to do. I'm going to cut out sugary drinks and I'm going to drink more water. or you're determined to live your life in spite of cancer because cancer is not who you are. Cancer is a diagnosis, it's a thing happening in your body, but it's not who you are. And so you can still have a life when you have cancer. You just have to do some workarounds, perhaps. Once the cancer is diagnosed, accepting what is happening, rejecting the prognosis, your statistics, mobilizing inner resources, what you already have inside of you that maybe you don't know you have, and taking action in the healing process through determination, belief, and hope can support you throughout the process and beyond. And this is from an article by Dr. Diane Perlman about patterns of exceptional healing patients. So these are characteristics of people like you who are wanting more and are ready to do more. So just again, give yourself a moment to reflect. I think it's important that we pause every once in a while and have a little reflection. And just on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of stuck and overwhelmed, where do you feel like you are right now? Or maybe where you were before you got on this call. And then just ask yourself, like if I knew how to get unstuck and reduce my overwhelm, how would that impact my life? And if you want to share that in the chat, you are more than welcome to. It's great to share with other people because sometimes other people have ideas that we don't have. An 8, yeah. Stuck and overwhelmed. I get it, Linda. I hear you for sure. And so that's why we want to talk about these tools and these strategies to help you get out of that place. Step number 2 on this path is where you are starting to take what you're interested in and are moving from interest to action. And like I said, this is you're already here. So it's almost like you can cross over these steps a little bit because you might not have reached all of the milestones, but you're moving in that direction. So you're getting out of that want and into desire, from inaction to action. And you're starting to notice how small changes can make a difference in your day-to-day life. And then in that, your confidence that you can do this is starting to grow. And that's a huge part of it, is that self-belief that I can do this. I am doing this, even on the days when it feels hard. So step number 2 is actually about cultivating curiosity. What else is there? How can I do this differently? What more can I bring into my own life that isn't overwhelming to help myself? So cultivating curiosity, step 2, becomes a part of your life when you've moved from desire to action. You see how these are shifting forward when you're trying new ideas and bringing new tools into your life 1 to 2 times a week. And when you're feeling excited about this shift, like you're starting to feel like, okay, you know what, I can do this. There's some things happening here. I'm moving forward. I can do this. Teresa is one of my clients. We've been working together for a while now. She has stage 4 colorectal cancer, and she's a super active person. She's a research ecologist, and so she's used to being outside and used to being very active. And she was very concerned when she came to me that this was going to take her joy away from her, that her cancer, not her cancer, the cancer, was going to stop her from doing the things that she loved. And so she got curious and she started to take action, and we started to work together, and she started to bring in mindfulness practices and making yin yoga, a part of her life, because it allowed her to connect with herself and to slow down and help her to get out of stress and overwhelm. And so she's learned that being curious about how to support herself has helped her to navigate her cancer diagnosis. Step 3. This is about you. This is like one of my favorite steps to coach around, because at this step, things are really starting to shift. You're feeling more confident about the changes that you've brought into your life because you've been bringing a little bit more and a little bit more, and they're starting to feel good and they're starting to feel kind of normal to you. And you're noticing yourself using new tools most days and that they've become an important part of your weekly life. So we've gone from, I don't know what to do, into, all right, I have a few ideas. I'm feeling a little bit curious about this, into prioritizing yourself. And you could use that, oxygen mask analogy of you have to don your own oxygen mask first before you can help other people. And I know you want to help your friends and your family. And sometimes we, as cancer patients, cancer survivors, cancer thrivers, don't put ourselves on the list. But we need to be on the list of what's important. And in fact, you need to be at the top of the list because when you are caring for yourself, then you can also care for your friends and your family. And I know that there can be a lot of guilt and shame around this. I have worked through that myself, the guilt of what have I done to my family? How did this happen? But when you prioritize yourself, you can shift that energy and you can start to make yourself and your healing process the most important part of you right now in this moment. This is when your actions are become a priority in your weekly life. You're like, nope, you know what? I'll come to that coffee date later. I got to go to yoga first. Or I'm going to spend my Sunday afternoon meal prepping so that I have healthy food in the fridge. Or I'm committing to Tuesday morning walks. Like whatever it is, it's becoming a priority for you. And you're advocating for yourself and trying to make sure that you're making time for the things that you know are helping you. And you're noticing, again, it's about that internal realization. You're noticing new thoughts and feelings that are coming up out of those actions. And they're good thoughts and feelings. They're things that are going to help you keep moving forward. Research shows that regular self-care practices can reduce the adverse effects of stress, sleep disturbances, and anxiety, and has been shown to prevent overload and help actually to build focus. And the truth is that we can't change cancer, but we can make decisions about how we care for ourselves. And self-care is one way to get back in the driver's seat. And that's from Lucretia Hurley Browning at the Abramson Cancer Center in Pennsylvania. Step 4, this is the place where you are really starting to feel clear. You have clarity on what you want and need to be doing to support your health and your happiness. And that clarity is important because it's going to be your guide as you continue moving forward. And sometimes it may feel, you may take a little step back and then you just remind yourself, come back to that piece of I know how to do this, and you keep moving forward. This is integrating change. This is where you start taking those pieces that you've been gathering and learning about in the mindset work, and you start applying it in your life, and it is starting to become who you actually are. You are no longer living in a passive state of inaction. You're actually living in a passive state of action, in that you no longer have to think about doing these things. It's just what you do. It's now part of who you are. But I always go to that yoga class. I always say no to pop and yes to water. I always pause and take a breath when I'm starting to feel overwhelmed because that's just what I do. And then you're also in this stage getting curious about learning even more and how to continue moving into that fully thriving life because it's endless. There are endless things that you can do. There's some foundational pieces that I talk about with my clients, including this process, but there are endless possibilities for what you can do. And research has shown that patients who adopt a participatory stance believe that they can make a difference, and they put this belief into action, and they therefore feel less helpless and less vulnerable. And that's really important because there is so much that you can control and so much that you can do for yourself. And I know that the diagnosis can take control away from you, but there's a lot that you are actually able to do no matter where you are. And like I said, it can even just start with drinking water. This is going to take you into step 5. And this is the place that I wish that all of us could be all of the time. I float in and out of this sometimes. Sometimes, admittedly, I get a little bit lazy and I have to remind myself. But this is where you're living in a state of flow. That for the most part, almost all of the time, these habits and routines are just what you do. And you feel confident and trust yourself. And you're no longer just getting by day to day. You're no longer just surviving. You have stepped wholly and confidently into being a calmer and happier version of yourself. And I say that because there's going to be those moments, right? We all know there's going to be those moments, but you have tools. At this stage, you have tools. They're just part of what you do, and you're able to feel calmer and happier. This is fully thriving. This is being empowered in your own health and your own happiness. Fully thriving is who you are when you have done all of this work to get to this place. And it's good work. It really is good work, and it is in your service to yourself. In this place, you're flowing from day to day with ease and calm and peace and joy. And I know I said it already, like things come up, but maybe if things come up, whatever they are, you can do it a little bit differently this time because you know what to do. You know how you can feel and how you don't want to feel. You have an abundant toolbox that you can dig into to support yourself. And even you can be in a place where maybe you have moved from, I don't want to talk about this, or when I talk about this, it makes me feel really overwhelmed, to being a little bit calmer when you talk about it. A little bit calmer when you are able to, share your story with other people, or if people ask you questions, because people ask questions. People still ask me questions about my cancer story and where I have been and what I have done. And I'm able to address it in a much more calm way now because I have been working through that process in my own mind. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, just doing another check in here, because like I said, reflection is a huge part of this process. In moving from want and inaction to desire and action, where do you think you are? Do you feel like maybe you've got a little bit of a shift now that you can see that there's some benchmarks along the way that you can work through? And then how would things be different if you knew that you had tools in your life that could impact you and you moving forward? And just reflect on that. Maybe even want to write down a couple of things in your book so that you remember them and you can come back to that and see, this is what I was thinking in that moment. It is a 5. Move from an 8 to a 5, Linda. That is so good. This is good. So some of this is resonating with you, starting to make you feel maybe a little bit better. That's awesome. Alrighty, I'm gonna stop sharing here. I want to tell you about this concept of living to thrive. So this is like my mantra in life is that I am going to be a thriver and I am going to live to thrive. And I'm living with cancer. And I want to tell you how I got to that place because the truth is I didn't come to it on my own. It was, you remember at the beginning, I was telling you about that third surgery that I had to have. And we got a phone call. I got a phone call from one of my doctors one day, and she's like, do you have a minute? I have this thought. I really feel bad that you're back in this place, and I want to share with you this thought around living with cancer. And I was like, okay, you know what? At this point, I'm open to anything. And she said, I'd like you to think about, because I was stage 4, that my oncologist said he would never use the word remission or cured with me, and which I have accepted and understand the why. But she said, I want you to understand this concept of life with cancer and what that can mean and what you can do with that. It's like, okay. So she said, think about cancer as a chronic illness. And a chronic illness is something that is ongoing, right? It's chronic, it's in a state of ongoing. And so she used the analogy of a diabetic, that a diabetic is very, very aware of their body. They're aware of what they put in their body. They're aware of what's happening on their body. They are aware of what they eat. They are aware of how they feel. They know when their sugar's high. They know when their sugar's low. And she said, like, living with cancer can be like that, about having this self-awareness. And what that allows, as you accept this idea that I may not have active cancer in the moment, but it's like sort of living in the background in my mind. And so in my case, where I've had subsequent surgeries, I just had a surgery last August. It's not the pitches and the valleys. It's not the panic anymore. She said, what the goal is with this concept is to create calm and stability. And so to have the tools so that it's not feeling scary and overwhelming every time. So this idea of living with cancer is ultimately to not have cancer. That is ultimately all of our goals, is to be healthy and happy and on the other side of this. But when you're in the moment of it, or when you're just past it and you're still working through those pieces, to have that calm and just accept that this is something that has happened in my life. It's not happening to you, it is happening in you. It's a diagnosis, it's not who you are, but it's something that has to be managed. And when you know how to manage it, when you have tools, it makes it more manageable. I hope that makes sense to you. But I know for me, that's brought me a huge sense of calm and understanding of the whole process to be able to say, I am able to do this because it's part of who I am. And because it's part of who I am, I'm going to do everything to make sure that I stay happy and healthy all of the time. All right, back to our slides. So I want to share with you this model that I've created. Some people are very visual learners, and so this may help you to solidify this concept of being a cancer thriver. So on the bottom here is what I call the outer work. This is the stuff you do, like healthy eating and exercising. That's the outside of you work. And some people are ill-equipped and don't know what to do, don't know how to make this happen. And some people are super equipped. They've got a plan. They know exactly what they're doing. Over here is the inner work. This is the inside your head, inside your heart space. And some people get really disconnected from this and they're just like lost and they have no idea what's coming next and what to do. And other people are really connected to their inner selves and they know what to do with this. So the person who's doing the outer work and is well equipped, I call them our actionful survivors. They are the people that are exercising, they've changed how they eat, they're juicing, they're going for massages, they're going for osteopathic work, like they're doing all of the external work, but they're not doing any of the internal work. They're not doing this inner mindfulness work. They're all about, I'm focusing on the physical self, which is not a problem, but it's just one aspect of the whole piece. Then there are the people who I call the thoughtful survivors. They're praying, they are meditating, they're practicing gratitude. They are going inside and connecting to themselves, but they're not doing the body pieces. They're not changing how they eat, or they're not exercising. This third group are what I call the powerless survivors, and they're the people that have just decided that they have no control. There's nothing they can do. They're not making any changes, and they're just giving it over to the doctors perhaps and hoping that it all works out. And that's not where I want you to be. I'd love for you to be up here in this quadrant as a healthful thriver who is learning tools and strategies for your body, for the outer work, and learning tools and strategies for stress management and mindfulness and doing that inner work. And this is part of the path to becoming a thriver. And you get to choose which path you're on. And maybe you're not ready for this, and that's okay. Maybe you're just going to be here today gathering some information and thinking about it, and that's okay. Maybe that's the path that you're on right now. But I just always want to offer that you have options, that you don't have to stay stuck and overwhelmed. So this healthful thriver model is about not being a powerless survivor. It's about being a healthful thriver. So that is the concept of that 5-step path and also that model. So I would love to see in the chat what you have found the most valuable today, or what are your takeaways from today so far before we move into just the next step of our class together today. Anyone have anything that's come up for them that they want to share? It's always interesting to see where people are. Or maybe you're just feeling like, wow, that's a lot of information. It's a lot of information, I know. That's why there's a replay. You can go back and watch it. The number one mistake that most women make when it comes to their illness, not everybody, but most, that stops them from being healthful thrivers is not knowing that they can be an active part of reclaiming their life and transforming their health. You can take some control in here. I'm just feeling more hopeful. Beautiful, Linda. I know you've got this. I know where you are, and I know you've got this. Learning to live with cancer, like I said, is a 5-step process. It's about recognizing. The first step is to recognize if you're feeling stuck and overwhelmed or helpless or hopeless, or you just don't know what to do. The next piece is cultivating that curiosity. What can I do? How can I do this? And then bringing that prioritizing of yourself into your life, making yourself so important in the process that you can't help but take care of yourself. And then integrating that change so that it just becomes a part of who you are. I haven't eaten red meat in, I think, like, I don't know, 7, 8 years, because I know that red meat doesn't work for my body. It doesn't feel good in my body. And so I have taken that out and brought in other practices. And that's just one example of when you start to be so self-aware, you can make those choices and make those changes, and they just become part of who you are. And I'm also not afraid to tell people that when they have me over for dinner, they're like, so we're going to have whatever, red meat. And I'm like, I don't eat red meat. I can bring an option. That's something that I can do. And that's allowing yourself permission to learn and grow, that growth mindset, and that gets you to that fully thriving space. Because the reality is you may still be feeling overwhelmed or stuck or lost. And those are all genuine, real feelings, but you don't have to stay there. So I just want to do a little activity before we start to wrap things up, just a little guided meditation practice with you. So if you would like to, you can close your eyes. You can, or you can avert your gaze and just start by rolling your shoulders up towards your ears and bringing them down your back, relaxing your shoulders a little bit. Just take a nice big breath in through your nose and a big sigh out your mouth. We're just going to slow things down for a minute here. That was a really fast pace, I know. So let's just slow things down for a minute. And I'd like to invite you to think about one thing that when you walk away from here today, one thing that you might be able to change. Something that feels easy. Don't make it hard for yourself. Pick something really easy. And see yourself 1 week from now having brought that into your life. And just see what that feels like. What does that feel like for you to have done that? Where does that sit in your body? Does your stomach feel a little bit less tight? Does your mind feel a little bit clearer? Does your heart feel a little more connected? Do your muscles feel a little less tense? Knowing that you've taken some action. And then I'll give you some options because future pacing can be a little bit challenging for some of us. Maybe you want to think like 6 weeks out from now, or maybe you're ready to think 3 months out from now. You pick that space in your timeline that feels good for you and see yourself integrating a few more practices, a few more things that you're curious about and that you know you can bring into your life. And just see where that lands in your body. Like, see how that feels. Where are you finding maybe a little bit more softness? Or maybe it gives you like a little fuzzy energy, like a really tingly, like, I can do this. And then take that next step. Just go a little bit farther out. Maybe it's 12 weeks out. Maybe it's 4, 5, 6 months out. Do what feels good for you and try to picture yourself with a few more strategies. And notice how that feels in your body. Is there a shift in like, I'm not sure what to do, into I see what I could do. I could see what's possible for me. And then just take a big breath in through your nose, and a big sigh out your mouth, and just release that. Just maybe tuck that away, knowing that you can come back and revisit that. And if anybody wants to share how that made them feel, I would love to see how that landed for you, because it's big when we reflect, it's big, and it's important to do those reflections. So I did tell you at the beginning that we were going to move in towards a Q&A, and I would talk to you a little bit more about how to be a thriver. So the question is, are you ready to step into this future that you've just envisioned for yourself and to learn how to live to thrive? And if you're ready, I would love to share this next step with you. But I want to offer that I know this isn't for everyone. Not everybody's here yet, and that's okay. Just being here on this call may be your first best step, and that is amazing. If you're not ready to make changes, that's okay. If you're not ready to sort of step into this bigger picture, that's okay. This is your process, and you have to do it in a way that feels good for you. My role here is just to offer you opportunities and to serve you in a way that may resonate with you. The path to being a thriver is so that you can reclaim your life and transform your health and leave behind living in survivor mode. Get out of that fight or flight mode and get into that rest and reset when you have those tools and strategies that you will learn along the way. And this path can help you define that by creating that desire to get unstuck, by cultivating that curiosity about what's available to you and what can you do for yourself, by making yourself the priority. Remember I said how important that is. You need to be at the top of your list, and that's going to help you to grow and move forward. Integrating this change so that it becomes part of who you are and regular practices, and then that allows you to step into that fully thriving mode so that things just feel easier, and so that you know what to do when you have a little hiccup. You know how to manage that. So I just want to share with you some notes that clients have shared with me, because I think it's important to understand that this is like a tangible thing. This isn't just a philosophical idea. This is something that actually works for people and helps them. So Bonetta is a stage 4 colorectal thriver, and she shared that she's learned that cancer is not her identity, which is a really key piece that we coach around. She said, I leave our calls with a sense of peace and calmness, get release of assurance that what I'm feeling and experiencing is normal for a cancer thriver. I've learned I can live beyond all the appointments and scans and discussions of the diagnosis and learn to, because it is a process, live as a thriver every minute, every hour, and every day with the tools and people God has put in my path. Catherine was truly put in my path, and I'm very thankful for her. Bonetta is doing amazing. She's a fantastic human being. Carrie it's a lung cancer thriver, and she said, Catherine listens and understands. She's been through it. She has a great mindset and shares all of the tools she's learned and adopted through the years. You truly feel like you're talking to a friend. I trusted my gut and went for coaching, and it was well worth the investment. It exceeded my expectations. And Julie's really interesting because we actually had the same oncologist, and that's how we connected, was having the same doctor. She said, Catherine is such a positive, open, welcoming person who creates a safe space for you to share your thoughts and feelings, makes you feel. She makes that happen as she does not judge. She holds space for you no matter what you're feeling or thinking. I felt like Catherine really understood where I was coming from because she'd been there. It made a difference talking to her. She provided great advice and tools on dealing with physical, emotional, and mental issues. And this is part of it, is that I have walked this walk with you. I am walking this walk with you. I am still doing my work every single day. I have a stage 4 colon cancer diagnosis. I am living with cancer every day of my life, but I know that there is more. And so what I want to offer to you is just a clarity call, just a call to book some time in with me where you can share your story if that's what you'd like to do, where you can talk about what you want and need if that's what you'd like, where you can learn about coaching options if you're curious about them, and where you can learn more about how to become a thriver. It's a call that I'm just inviting you to, with no obligation, to just come and have a conversation. And maybe that in itself will help you to get started down this road to being a thriver. So if you're ready to get started, the link is there for you. It is available for you to, I'm probably not going to be able to put it in the chat because it's really long, but it's going to come to you in an email. It is, I'm going to put it in the chat for you so you can copy it. Calendly is my booking program. And what I have done is I have scheduled on my calendar 30-minute calls for you to just book a call on a time that works well for you. Let's make sure I got that right. Catherine White Wellness, consultation. I don't want you to have a link that doesn't work. I would love to just chat with you. Honestly, I would just love to chat with you, meet you personally, see where you are in the whole process, and find out what it is that you're looking for. So just to answer a few questions up front, because these are the common questions. How long is the call? I already mentioned that. It's 30 minutes. It's just a 30-minute call. And coaching options. If you're interested in coaching, I have a few options. That's not today's conversation. I do have a group coaching program and I have a couple of private coaching programs that I offer, but that's not today's conversation. Today's conversation is about you and just coming to a call and just sharing who you are and what you're looking for. And you do not have to pay for the call. The call is free. I don't want you to have to pay to have a conversation. Make yourself a cup of tea. We'll get on a Zoom call together and we'll just have a chat about you and where you are. As I mentioned, I have a group coaching program and I have some one-to-one options, and that is a conversation for another day. I just want to leave you with one more cancer thriver, Amy. Amy's really interesting because she came to me because they told her she had cancer and then she didn't. So we were several weeks into our 12-week coaching session, and she found out that she didn't have cancer, which was amazing because we celebrated the heck out of that, like always celebrate the wins. So she said, I want to keep going. I want to keep working through this. And we shifted it to being a prevention coaching session, that we started to work on preventative things in her life using that 5-step process still and tools and strategies. And she said, I would say you have to give coaching a try because Catherine makes you see things in a totally different light. Women empowering women and supporting each other is a must. So this is me living all the drama of a diagnosis, all the I don't even know what to do. This is really scary. This is overwhelming. Whole bunch of lady drama going on. And then this is a different version of me, calmer, cooler, with a plan, and able to move forward. And that is my wish for you. So if you would like to join me on a call, again, there's that link. I will be sending that out to you if you need a little bit of time to think about it. If you want to go to my website and learn more about me, it's here at the bottom, www.catherinewhite.coach. Make sure I spelled that right. I just want to offer that I am truly just a girl who woke up one day and my life changed completely. That they told me I had stage 4 colon cancer. And I decided right from the beginning that I was not going to let cancer rule my life. And I decided that every single day was going to be 100% chance of surviving. And then I learned about thriving and I was able to move forward into that. So I understand wherever you are in your process. I don't necessarily know your process intimately, but I understand perhaps some of the thoughts and the feelings that you're having. Does anyone have any questions? This is the perfect time for us to have a chat. I'm going to change the view. No, I'll leave it on gallery. So anybody who wants to ask anything about anything while we're here, get some coaching around something, I'm happy to have a conversation. We are actually 3 minutes early, which is like a record for me. I always go over. This is good. Anyone want to unmute themselves? No? Everybody's shy. So shy. All right, that's okay. So again, this is going to come out in an email. The replay is going to come out in an email, and the links will be in that email. Lupita, did you have a question or something you wanted to offer?
Well, since nobody talked, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody. I don't have cancer, but I work with Latino women that has cancer.
Mm.
And just wanted to take the class to see what I could learn to share it with them. So seems like some of the people that are taking the class has cancer. So I want to wish the best of the luck to all of them. All my clients has been able to make it. And I think all of you are so fortunate that their resources and you speak the language and you are here in your own country with so much resources that they are and agencies and non-profits and help. And I know between like the bad deal they are going through now, like just be positive, because I really see like be positive in general. It helps you a lot, even to your physical health, not only to your mental health, to your physical health. So I want to wish everybody the best of the lucks. And thank you so much for having me in the
Thank
training.
you, Lupita. Where are you? Where are you living?
I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
In Indiana.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Thank you for the work that you're doing and representing that population of women that sometimes are underserviced in the cancer world.
In everything.
Yeah, in everything. Yeah. So thank you for the work that you're doing and for sharing that. That's amazing. And your kind words. I think everybody's just doing the best that they can, right? Everybody just wants to have health and happiness and not feel like they're going through this alone. And so, like Lupita mentioned, there are resources available to you. I'm offering up that I am one of those resources. So if you want to get on that call and just ask questions, maybe you don't want to have a public conversation, that's okay. We can have a private conversation, but really advocating for yourself is huge. It is one of the key factors in people who are successful in navigating a cancer diagnosis is advocating for yourself. Believing in yourself is key. Believing that you can do this, believing that even when things feel so hard and you're so tired and you don't want to get out of bed, that you can do this. I'm going to share a little story with you. If you have to go, I completely understand. Um, please don't feel like you can't leave. But this story is one that I tell because it was life-changing for me. So it was after I'd had my colon surgery. So I had half of my colon removed, and that was a huge surgery. And I was in the hospital for a week and then at home in bed for like another week almost. And I remember waking up one day, I couldn't get up by myself. I had like a bell by my bed so my husband could come and help me roll over and get out. And I remember lying there one morning and thinking, I can't do this. This is hard. Like, this is really hard, and nobody said it was going to be this hard. And even if they did, they could not have possibly put into words how hard this is. And that was the day that I was going to just pull the blankets up over my head and just have a pity party. I was like, I'm going to feel sorry for myself, and I'm okay with that. And so, like any good, human being these days, I thought I would check my Facebook before I started feeling too sorry for myself. And I opened up my Facebook, and there was a message from a guy that I'd gone to public school with, like 30 years almost earlier. And that we weren't really close. Like we knew each other. He's a good guy. And he sent me a message, and all it said was, I just wanted you to know that I'm thinking about you today. And as like, even as I say it, it brings up emotion in me. It's like, oh my gosh, this guy that I haven't seen in forever is thinking about me in this moment. I guess I need to get out of bed. And from that moment on, I decided, I truly in that moment was like, if Jerry out in Nova Scotia can take 2 minutes of his life to send me a message, I am going to get up every single day, no matter what it looks like, have a shower if I can, put on my big girl pants, and keep moving forward. That was a pivotal moment for me to have somebody say to me, you can do this, and I know you can do this so much that I'm going to send you a little message. Anybody else have a story like that, or just even a yes in the chat that there's been somebody in your life that has just been like, I've got you. I know you can do this, some sort of life-changing moment. Because it really makes a difference to have somebody believing in you almost more than you believe in yourself sometimes. Some days it's hard, but I also don't want to be like all doom and gloom. Troy says totally, yeah. Like there's a lot of really good things that can happen when you are learning about yourself. Like I'm going to be really, really vulnerable and honest here with you. And I think this is actually the first time I've ever shared this on a class. The girl that you're seeing here today is not the girl that I used to be. I was a stressed out, burnt out teacher. I was angry. I was frustrated. I taught eighth grade, which in itself was a lot of work. I had two teenage boys when I was diagnosed and trying to, navigate even before trying to navigate kids. My husband's away a lot for work. Like I was just not in a good place. And I always wonder, but I don't sit in it if that was a contributing factor, right? In stress being a contributing factor. And I don't sit in the why did I get cancer? That's not a healthy thought to have. It's the what am I going to do with this? And so when I got diagnosed, it's like, okay, what are we going to do with this? We didn't get our statistics. We told them straight out, I do not want to know the numbers that you are going to assign to me. And some people need their numbers, and that's okay. Everybody does this differently. But I didn't want my numbers because what I know about statistics is there's, the low end of the numbers and the high end of the numbers, and everybody is somewhere in between, and they find the average of that. And I didn't want to be average. I've never wanted to be average. And we just said, nope, no, thank you. Every day is a 100% chance of survival. And it took years before I finally said to my oncologist, like, so what were my numbers? And he said, oh, Catherine, we don't have numbers for you. You're an outlier. I want everybody to be an outlier. I want everybody to be able to say, those numbers are going to guide what they do for me. They're going to, maybe help create the treatment plan or my life moving forward, but they're not your identity. Don't have to be your identity. You get to decide who you want to be. And that's part of what I work with my clients is this self-belief that every day is 100%, even on the days when it feels hard. Lupita said, I know a Mexican TV star that was diagnosed with cancer and while driving his car was hearing at the radio this pretty female TV star saying that as her life wish she would like to have a child with him. He stated that changed his life as empowered him and it empowered him to make it. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It only takes one person to offer you something, whatever it is, a member in your community, an inspirational message on Facebook, or an Instagram, somebody that you meet at a store. Sometimes I have people come up to me and they're like, oh, I know who you are, because I live in a relatively small community. It used to be, oh, you're the teacher from, that school over there. Now it's like, oh, you're the cancer coach. You're the girl who had cancer. Yep. Yeah. It's not my identity so much as it is it's an integrated part in my cells of who I am. But I think that's what allows me to keep moving forward, is to know that I had the strength to get through and the tools to get through and the desire to get through. And I really want you to know that this is my service. This is my giving back, in that I've been gifted with this gift of life, and I knew that I wanted to do something with it. So if you haven't heard my podcast, maybe you're not ready for coaching, that's okay. But head over to the podcast. It's called the Living to Thrive with Cancer podcast. There's lots of information on there. Go over to my website and check that out and see if there's some free downloads on there for you. I'm adding more things all of the time. I'm currently building an app that I'm hoping to get launched that will allow people access to programs. And I'm writing a book. I told my husband I wasn't ready to announce that, but I just announced it. I'm writing a book about some of these things and more, and I'm not exactly sure when it's coming out. I'm on chapter 7 of 10. I'm getting there, so you can watch for that. If you want to have your name on the wait list, shoot me an email and I'll start a wait list. I don't have one yet, but maybe you'll be the first person on it. But these are the things that inspire me to help you, to serve you, because I believe life is not about myself. It is about how do I help other people and help my kids and help my husband and help other people to understand, whether it's cancer or chronic illness, that you can do this in a way that works in your world. And so I'm just offering this up to you as a possibility. Any questions? Anything before I allow you to go back to your lives, where we all go and have some lunch? No? Okay. Well, uh, Tori, you are so very welcome. I'm so glad that you could join us. We have some friends that have joined us, time zones. It might be a time zone thing. If you have just joined us, we are actually wrapping up, but the good news is this has been recorded and I will be sending it out in the email. All of your names are on my email list. And so you'll be receiving a few emails over the next few days. And if you stay on the email list, they will slow down. Emails will start going back to just once a week. Every Tuesday morning, I send out an email. Every other Tuesday is a podcast episode is released. And you can just, hang out in the Thriver community until you feel called to take that next step in action, to get out of want and into desire. Linda, you're so welcome. I'm so glad that you were able to be here today. Thank you to all of you. I hope that you have a super wonderful day and rest of your week. And I just bring my hands together in gratitude for you and just offer that may you live your life to your fullest, follow your heart, and thrive in all you do. Have a beautiful day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you, Lupita. Thank you, ladies. Yes, don't give up. Lupita and I are on the same page. Do not give up. Do not give up hope. There is always, always hope. And we want to hold on to that. Beautiful way to end. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.